Hello and welcome to From Digital to D&D. In this series, a character from fiction is taken and given a usable stat block for you to use in your games of Dungeons & Dragons. For those of you unaware, each episode of this series will be broken down into the following sections. The character introduction, where I attempt to explain the background of the character. The feature breakdown, where I point out what aspects of the character I'll be tempted to convert. The stat block, where the stat block is shown off and certain elements are discussed. And finally the plot hooks, where I explain possible uses for the character in your games of D&D. Naturally, any character that features in this series belongs to their respective owners. This episode will cover a highly dangerous species of predator, one who made an entire planet go quiet. From the universe of A Quiet Place, let's look at the Death Angels. Death Angels hail from another planet, one that knew no light. This harsh world was far larger than Earth, with a greater gravitational pull and harsher conditions. On this lightless world, the Death Angels evolved. Since there was no light, they never developed eyes and instead grew many ears with incredible hearing. The conditions of the planet forced them to adapt incredible armor that was so strong that the planet exploding on them did nothing. After their homeworld's destruction, they were scattered across space. On each asteroid, the Death Angels survived, and even a crash landing on another planet didn't faze them. Upon arriving on Earth, the Death Angels began their rampage against the cacophony of life, and in a matter of days, drove the world to silence. Only the lucky survivors managed to deduce that if they wanted to live, they could never make a sound again. The Death Angels became the ultimate predators due to their evolved traits being far stronger on Earth. The stronger gravity of their homeworld meant they had developed more powerful muscles, and on a lighter world like Earth, they had super strength. They could run at impossible speeds of up to 300 miles an hour and were strong enough to rip steel apart like paper. Partnered with their indestructible, dense armor, nothing could stop them. The Death Angels had descended upon Earth and were here to stay. Though few would ever be able to share it, the only thing that held the Death Angels at bay was deep water, meaning untouched islands were the only safe place. Death Angels are incredible predators with few faults in their evolution. Their muscles are denser and stronger than any other animal, meaning they could overpower anything in their way. The speed they possess makes them impossible to outrun without distracting them, and they can close in on a target within minutes, even when many miles away. Their hearing is unmatched, as they can hear loud sounds from countless miles away. A simple snap of the fingers could call a Death Angel who was over 10 miles away and arrive in less than a minute. Whilst they lack any real intelligence and act on instinct, Death Angels can communicate with each other. They only have two weaknesses, and both are hard to exploit. Their first weakness is water, specifically deep water. Due to their dense form, Death Angels sink and cannot swim, meaning they will drown in deep enough water. The other weakness is their reliance on sound, specifically that certain frequencies can cause them great pain. They always prioritise the loudest sound first, but if the right frequency is played loud enough, it can scramble the senses of a Death Angel and cause it to expose the soft flesh of its ears. In this critical moment, they are vulnerable to attack and can be killed. However, killing a Death Angel silently is impossible, and where one may fall, another is close by to resume the hunt. Death Angels are a terrifying alien, and one that should not be taken on in a fight unless there is no other option. Please feel free to check out the stat sheet for the Death Angel at your own pace, but there are a few features I want to highlight. Their speed and strength are stupidly high, but their armour makes them deadly, especially to low-level parties. From what we have seen, nothing can pierce the armour, not even the explosion of a planet. But like all armour, there are gaps that can be exploited. The alien armor trait makes the Death Angel immune to all forms of damage except for psychic and thunder. The only exception is if the Death Angel is deafened or incapacitated, as it can't close its ear plates properly. That doesn't mean hitting a Death Angel is pointless though. If the Death Angel takes damage whilst the armor is up, it has to make a strength saving throw with a DC that scales the higher the damage is. If it fails, the Death Angel is pushed back, which can be the window to escape. However, their hearing is incredible, able to hear sounds from up to 50 miles away, and if they find the source, they have an easier time attacking it. Fleeing is difficult, as they can move incredibly fast and leap great distances, meaning the best way to deal with a Death Angel is to not encounter it at all. Death Angels might be a little tricky to use, but there are two ways that they can be, one big and one small. The bigger option is to mimic the movie A Quiet Place and have several Death Angels come crashing down on a location. If you want to spare your setting from an apocalypse, you can make it a large island in the middle of the ocean to keep it contained but viable. This can also apply to large masses of land in Spelljammer. Let's say the party have been sent to this island to reclaim an item for the quest giver after communication with the island ceased. The party arrive at the dock, which is close to a loud waterfall, but they find nobody. All they find is carnage and a warning to not make a sound. Shortly after, they hear a distant scream from the jungle that is quickly silenced, but the party notices that as they move away from the sound of the waterfall, the island is silent. Only the wind dares make a noise. Now they have to make their way across the island without alerting the threat. Maybe discovering the corpses of fearsome predators covered in deep slashes, implying something worse is here. If you want to spice it up, you could have a rival group there who meet the party at the same time they find the item. They know they will have to fight for it, but both sides know making a sound will kill them all. So, now the party must engage in a silent fight. For those of you who have seen it, think of the scene in The Kingsman set at night in No Man's Land. A smaller scale option is having the party hired by an eccentric noble who wants their aid with something. Little do they know, the noble wants to lock them in a labyrinth with a Death Angel they captured. The party now have to navigate this maze without making a noise, so that they don't find that the Death Angel is around the next corner. Death Angels should be a source of terror for the party, but one that if the party are in the right environment or have the right tools available, can push back against. But with that, we've reached the end of today's video. Before you head off, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you managed to get something out of this. The stat block for the Death Angel is available on D&D Beyond for free, and the link to it is in the description. I hope you all have a great day, and may your dice roll favourably. Goodbye for now.